Today's episode is about an awesome decentralized social media network that involves crypto. Yes, that's right. Did you know that Minds.com already has 5 million users? Stay tuned to discover how Minds is different from other social media platforms and how their own crypto token called the Minds token is rewarding users for sharing content on the platform. This one today is an eye-opener and definitely not one to miss.
Welcome to the New to Crypto podcast, designed to guide you through the crypto landscape with pinpoint accuracy, created for the new and intermediate crypto investor. Join your host, Crypto Travels Michael, as he takes you through the different facets of getting started and succeeding in your crypto journey. New to Crypto podcast brings you new episodes daily, Monday through Friday, with surprise bonus episodes sometimes on the weekend. Let me ask you, are you new to crypto? Don't know where to start? Are you more experienced but have questions? Then you're in the right place. This podcast is designed for you. Coming at you from the Trading Center in the Lifestyle Design Studio, here's your host, Crypto Travels Michael.
Brave Wallet is the first secure crypto wallet built natively in a Web3 crypto browser. No extension required. You can store, manage, and grow your portfolio, get NFTs and multi-chain support. Download the Brave privacy browser at brave.com/new to crypto and click on the wallet icon to get started. Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited about today's episode. I have a very special guest on the show, the co-founder and CEO of Minds. I have Bill Ottman on the show. And he's the CEO of Minds, is a crypto social network. Bill, man, thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us today.
Psyched to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's anytime. You're welcome to come anytime. Before we jump into everything, can you tell our listeners like a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I mean, I've pretty much been building Minds for the last decade. Before that, I studied up in UVM, organized music festivals. I've always been really fascinated in crowds, the power of crowds, community-centric projects. And I think that, crypto is amazing because it sort of combines both worlds. It brings together the internet with the crowd. It's sort of like this crowd-owned, crowd-powered infrastructure. And it's a fair system without a lot of the corruptions of traditional systems. And so, I used to be much more heavily involved with like live events and social networking, like in the physical sense. And now, I've sort of become gone digital. We do want to facilitate real world connection for sure, but I think that it's just sort of inevitable that digital is just as important a part of the equation.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that little intro. In a nutshell, I'm sure our listeners would be asking themselves, what is Minds?
Yeah, so we're a crypto social networking app. I mean, the app feels similar to other social apps that you use: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. However, we basically invert the model. So the UX is quite similar. The difference being that you have a wallet associated with your account. You're earning crypto for all of your contributions. We harness Ethereum, and the Minds token is on the Ethereum network. We reward tokens for contributions of content, for providing liquidity, and the token is pegged to views. So you can actually use the token to boost your content. One token right now is worth 1,000 views. So when you earn the tokens, you can boost your content. And we're very focused on helping creators earn and get more reach, because the algorithms on big tech have pretty much gotten out of control. You don't know why you're not reaching your whole audience. No one really knows what's going on in the news feed, or why certain things are getting promoted, certain things are getting shadow banned. Mm-hmm. So we're very much focused on privacy. Our messenger is end-to-end encrypted. We don't even want access to people's personal information, personal conversations. It's pretty crazy that we accept the fact that Facebook and Twitter and Google they literally are scanning everybody's conversations, targeting us with ads. And so, privacy, transparency, everything we do is fully open source. None of big tech is open source. That transparency is a really core tenet of crypto and just, digital rights in general. And then on top of that, there's, the whole monetization element. And I think that, at the end of the day, people are getting exploited on big tech. I'm not saying that there's no value in any big tech. I think that they've obviously, created some really great products, but they're also terrifying. So we need to make sure that we're building up more ethical alternatives that are actually powered by the community and have the users coming first.
Interesting. So based on, you just touched on privacy just for a moment. So I want to segue into, why is privacy important and how does Minds help solve this?
Yeah, I think that privacy should be the default just because you just never know. And it's not that you have anything to hide necessarily. Snowden has a great quote, just because, you still want freedom of speech, even if you don't have anything that you necessarily want to say. And you should still want privacy, even if you don't have anything to hide. These are just fundamental rights that we know throughout history are really essential for human liberty. So, I think that there's plenty of places to not be private. Look what we're doing right now. We're broadcasting a conversation. Our lives are inevitably becoming more transparent, but I still think that we need to keep everyone safe in terms of, hackers, just people. Look, no one should have to justify the right to privacy. And when you create a backdoor through encryption, if the NSA, for instance, is advocating this, what they don't realize, and what many of them do realize, is that you create a backdoor to one device, you're creating a backdoor into your own device. The NSA is actually making itself less secure by compromising encryption. When you start making backdoors, even though it could be argued, hey, we need to protect national security and spy on all these people so we can catch terrorists, you could turn that argument around and say, no. We need to protect national security by making sure that our devices cannot get compromised by, the backdoors that we created.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. I definitely agree with you. Privacy is an inherent human right, and nobody should have to justify why they want to have privacy. And to be honest, a lot of people, everyone I know in crypto, privacy and sovereignty are, important, and freedom are important to them. And maybe that's one of those things that navigates some of us to crypto. You mentioned the Minds token, and I wanted to ask you, can you share with our listeners a little bit more about it? That, why did you create a token for the project, and how, just unpack a little bit more about how they can earn crypto, meaning our listeners, and how that works. So it's sort of a twofold question.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's an important question because I don't think that you necessarily need a token for everything. And I think that there are a lot of useless tokens. That being said, when you're a part of a community, social network, for instance, and you're contributing value, it's very useful to have a token to quantify that value that the users brought to the network, and to be able to create sort of a microeconomy and create a token and reward those tokens. And then those tokens can be used to access, basically eyeballs on the network. That to me is sort of a really elegant loop. Now, we also do rev shares with cash. We have Minds Plus, which is a product to access premium content, but we take 25% of the Minds Plus revenue and actually proportionally share it with the creators who post content into Minds Plus. So for us, it's all about just sharing our resources with the community who is helping us exist. So we share the token, and that gives you literally ownership of our ad space. In big tech land, Facebook, it's all a surveillance machine, and they're using the ad space against you. we're literally giving the ad space, the promotional real estate to the community who is helping us exist. Now, it's why not use Bitcoin or ETH instead of creating your own token? Well, I'm actually all for rewarding Bitcoin and ETH for different purposes, but for it wouldn't make sense for us to just like drain our treasury of Bitcoin and for the purpose of the types of rewards that we're doing on a daily basis, just because, the value is getting generated, and it's just nice to have an asset that sort of was generated alongside that. And, I will say, like, people do try to, farm our tokens. Like, you have like this sort of inauthentic activity. And like there are groups from, Nigeria and Turkey, and they'll start these rings and they'll, vote on each other's stuff because they can earn tokens. And, we have some really great tools to prevent that so that they're no longer getting rewarded. But the point being, we wouldn't want Bitcoin and Ethereum to be going to those people. Like, civil resistance is really important. And, so arguably you would even force people who are earning to put up some assets to stake, so that if they misbehave, then they're actually going to lose that staked asset. Because, you should have to put up something. Arguably, we're not doing this yet, but I think, generally speaking, like, even to look at ETH's model, like, people don't necessarily spam Ethereum because the cost benefit isn't really there. You have to pay these gas fees, and then additionally, for the liquidity rewards that we do, if you stake into the Minds ETH pair and Uniswap, we are giving you free advertising proportional to your share of the liquidity pool. So there's actually this featured ad spot on the top of the newsfeed on minds.com. And so if you have 1% of the Minds ETH pool, your page is going to rotate in that slot 1% of the time. And that's all free on top of the liquidity rewards. And because we believe that the community, people who are helping the ecosystem exist, deserve to be rewarded for that participation.
Man, that's awesome. That's man, I really like that. That's the fact that you're rewarding your users, for contributing is it's an awesome thing. By the way, a little side note, this show's actually been number one in Nigeria on Apple. Nigeria has a youth community that's huge into crypto, and this show's currently in the top 10 on Apple in tech in Nigeria. So
let me speak to the Nigerian people.
Our Nigerian listeners.
Well, I want to, because I want to say, we love all of the Nigerian users. And I know that there are, it does not speak to the majority of Nigerians on Minds who are doing this kind of thing with, vote for vote kind of, little token rings. And we're doing everything we can to solve this issue. It's not just Nigeria. I mean, there's people in every country all over the world, all over the world trying to do this. And I think it's actually amazing what's happening in Nigeria in terms of crypto. I think it's one of the most rapidly emerging markets on the planet.
Yeah, it's an explosion. They love crypto in Nigeria. So let me ask you, you mentioned Minds Plus. So submitting content to Minds Plus and earning a share of revenue. Where did you and your team come up with this concept? Because I think it's awesome. Man, it makes me want to use it over any other platform,
Yeah, I mean, we need a sustainable business model. And, when you're a social network, you sort of look at what are the options out there. I mean, we're not against advertising, but we're certainly not going to spy on our users and in order to maximize revenue. We don't want to be reliant on advertising revenue for our business. We want to, and I think membership models are much more sustainable long term. So, ultimately, our users actually also have the ability to set up membership tiers similar to on, Patreon and like I think super follows on Twitter and, memberships on YouTube. So we do have that ability. But what Minds Plus is really like, not everybody has a big audience. A lot of people just have a small audience, but they're, might be a really interesting creator and they want to tap into a revenue pool. So Minds Plus, we have thousands of members of Minds Plus. So what that enables is someone who's not even a big creator to just pop in. And if they post some really popular content into that exclusive feed, they're going to see some rev share, and because we're taking a share of our company's revenue and sharing it with everyone, regardless of how big your audience is. So, individual memberships for creators, like, I'm sure that you know about this. You're starting a media company, and building up a big following on your own is not easy. And so, giving people an entrance point for that to access a rev share has been super successful. People love it, and I think that the one analogy I make is, imagine if Netflix let you upload a film, and if at the end of the month that film performed well on Netflix, they gave you a cut. I mean, I think Netflix should do that. I actually want other companies to pick up on this model, because a lot of companies have like an exclusive content membership where you're paying to get content. That's what Netflix is. Or, there's tons of projects that do that. But to then let those same subscribers contribute and potentially have upside as well, it's just a little bit more of a creative and I think beneficial program for the members.
Interesting. No, I really like what the way you've laid it out and the whole give back and reward. Let's talk about the tokenomics. I mean, I've seen in your white paper the total supply. You did a little rebasing there. Paint us a picture about all that.
Yeah, so 250 million max supply. We ran the finish minting function, so no more tokens can ever be created, and only I think less than 10% have actually been rewarded so far. And so, those are sort of on a schedule. About 10,000 tokens a day are rewarded to the community in 3 different buckets. Half are going to the liquidity providers. So 5,000 tokens a day are getting distributed proportionally among the people in the Minds ETH liquidity pool. 10% are just going to holders, and the 40% are going for engagement rewards. And that's for upvotes on your content and whatnot. So that's the emission rate. Okay.
And can these tokens only be earned, or can they be purchased? Is it on swaps? Is it on exchanges? Is there...
They're on Uniswap. We have a integration directly with Uniswap, so that we have a backend integration so that we can track people's positions in that pool. And we don't pursue centralized exchanges. We're much more kind of pro decentralized tools.
Sure. No, I can definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
I see that you're improving Web3 experience, and you offer fiat to crypto on-ramp. Is that something?
Yeah, we have an integration with Transact, which is also, I think, Metamask also uses Transact for some of their fiat on-ramps. And so I think, you can get Minds tokens from them as well, but they're like a money services business. So they can handle that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And tell us a little bit about the roadmap and what you have coming with Minds here in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of layer 2 stuff right now. So we have integrations with both Polygon and Scale that are getting built out. And we're going to be doing more, I would imagine, probably Arbitrum and maybe some others for cheaper transaction fees. Definitely working on decentralized identity and decentralized content storage more. We do have an integration with Arweave right now, which is a decentralized content storage system, and that's excellent project. We are also working on more of a federated, decentralized infrastructure generally, so that different nodes of Minds can talk to each other, and actually Minds would also be able to talk with federated social networks like Mastodon, Pleroma, and others in the ActivityPub network. Additionally, interoperating with other Web3 social networks. And so definitely working on a lot of the Web3 UX, improving that. Also expanding the utility of the token, increasing the ability to promote your content with the token, potentially across other networks. And it's constant. The thing is, social networks are such beastly applications. I could just go down a list for hours, like video. Everyone really wants us to do live streaming. People want, improvements on. We actually have 2 apps. We have Minds, and then we have Minds Chat. And so Minds Chat, they kind of are companion apps similar to like Facebook and Messenger. And we're actually using the Matrix protocol for Minds Chat, which is the end-to-end encrypted, decentralized messenger system. So you actually can talk to other nodes through Minds Chat now. And then more wallet functionality, probably supporting more assets in our tipping functionality for creators, continuing to evolve the rewards, improving the rewards. I don't know. I'm curious, like for you, what is it that is sort of like top on your list that you would want to see in a new social network?
Brave Wallet is the first secure crypto wallet built natively in a Web3 crypto browser. What's Web3? Web3 is freedom from big tech and Wall Street. More control and better privacy. But there's a weak point in Web3. Your crypto wallet. Most wallets are browser extensions, a Web2 technology. That means the same old risks. App spoofing, phishing scams, and theft. Brave Wallet is different. Brave Wallet is the first secure wallet built natively in a Web3 crypto browser. No extension required. With Brave Wallet, you can buy, store, send, and swap assets, manage NFTs, even connect other wallets and dApps, all from the security of the best privacy browser on the market. Whether you're new to crypto or a seasoned pro, it's time to ditch those risky extensions. It's time to switch to Brave Wallet. Download Brave at brave.com/new to crypto and click on the wallet icon to get started. I think you're covering most of those areas. I mean, the fact that you're rewarding your users, and the fact that, is these, decentralized privacy, not having big tech interfere with my user experience, those are all important things that that are important to me that I'm looking at. And let me ask you you mentioned with the data storage with Arweave, are you using Arweave to, decentralize the data for Minds, or what is?
Yeah, so you can post. So like when you make a post on Minds, post an image or a video or, whatever it is, you can optionally like sort of simul post it to the permaweb, which is Arweave. And it would post to our servers and Arweave. Now, in terms of all of the data, like I sort of place us in more sort of like Web 2.5. Like we have various like fully decentralized tools. We have various centralized tools. We're always trying to decentralize more, but like I'm not going to disingenuously say that we're like fully decentralized. There is no social network that is fully decentralized. If they tell you that they are, they're lying, because it's not technically possible yet. There's just a lot of centralized choke points. It is our goal to get there eventually. And in terms like ActivityPub is really interesting because you can basically subscribe to people on other nodes. So, you could run your own instance of Minds, for instance. Not everybody's going to want to do that, but some people, some like more networks and communities might want to run their own instance. I could actually subscribe to you from my instance on your instance. Your post would come over to me. It would be like if Twitter decided to support ActivityPub, I could actually subscribe to you on Twitter from Minds, and you could subscribe to me from Twitter, and I'm on Minds. So the ActivityPub is a federated social media protocol so that the content and the users can sort of live between networks. And it's probably the best decentralized social networking functionality there is. But then,
what is that called again for our listeners?
ActivityPub is the spec. It's a W3C spec, which is the protocol that Mastodon uses and a number of other social networking projects use it. But then we also have like IPFS, for instance. So we have started an integration with Ceramic, who is basically a mutable layer on top of IPFS. And it's really interesting. Like we do have a prototype going where, because anyone who doesn't know, IPFS is distributed content, distributed data system, interplanetary file system. And a lot of projects use them to, like, for instance, store the art of an NFT. will be stored on IPFS as opposed to a centralized place. So like the NFT will reference a link. Most NFTs reference a link to the actual content itself. And oftentimes that media will actually be on referencing an IPFS link or an Arweave link, because those are more decentralized systems, because it's sort of against the point of NFTs to have the NFT pointing to like Amazon S3 or some other centralized database. So you're sort of like buying this asset that could just get removed, and then the actual media associated with the NFT could just get taken down. A lot of people don't realize that when they buy NFTs. Like when you buy an NFT, you really need to be aware of where that media is hosted on the NFT.
Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I don't think most people know that answer.
No, they think that when they buy the NFT that like it's 100% sure that like that content is never going to go away. But it's possible that like if you signed into an NFT marketplace and you bought an NFT that wasn't hosted on a decentralized file system, and then, that centralized host went down, your media would not show up when you sign into that NFT marketplace, because it would just go away. And this is part of the problem with like, there's a lot of centralization that exists in the NFT world. I think that like we just saw with Twitter, actually, Twitter just rolled out the NFT avatar service, and then OpenSea, the API like went down. So, none of the NFT avatars on Twitter were showing up, and it was sort of like a joke. And it was really not a good move. Like, I don't know why Twitter's using OpenSea, because OpenSea is like quite centralized. They're also not open source. So, these are all the kinds of dorky things that I think about day after day, because, it's kind of looking under the hood of what's really going on all of these different networks.
So going down that rabbit hole, and now this is a question on everyone's mind listening, how can our listeners research or determine where their NFT media is hosted on whatever marketplace or platform they're holding or acquiring their NFTs from?
I think that when you look up the token, the reference should be there. And depending on the marketplace, I'm sure that they have docs about where they are hosting the media associated with the token. So I would just recommend, this is it's not an uncommon question. So I would definitely look into the docs about the, specific NFT marketplace that you're on. Or just look at the token itself and look at the metadata on the token, and usually you'll see like the reference link of where that token is actually pointing to. Okay,
awesome. Moving back into Minds, under Pro on your site about Minds, it says you can build your own website, like with subdomain. Can you unpack that because I know the listeners are going to go to today's episode blog post page, and they're going to venture over to your site, and before they have the question in their mind, maybe we can address that.
Yeah, sure. This is in all honesty not been something that we have been pushing super hard, just because it is a very new product and it's very much like in beta. But with Pro, you can you get a subdomain. So most a regular user on Minds doesn't get a subdomain. You can also do a custom domain and point it to it. And we sort of have this much more customized front end that you can do on your Minds channel. And it looks much more like a website. So like, you won't see our branding on the top of the page. And it feels like it's more owned by the user. And the user has many more customization options. So if you're looking to, have more of like an independent brand page, it's an option, but it's also very much an early product. So I don't think that, to be honest, we've struggled with it a little bit as well, because, ultimately we're really doing a lot of research around, I don't know. I mean, so where do you land on this? Like in terms of your website versus your social media channels, do you find yourself caring about your own website? Do you want to be focusing on that? Or are you much more focused on, your social networks? Or do you feel like it's a combination of both?
That's a good question. I would say it depends who you are and what your need is, right? For this show, the website, WordPress, it's WordPress. The website is incredibly important. Depending on, for someone who doesn't have a website or maybe doesn't have a regular business, maybe social media. That's actually a great question. I actually am really interested in the fact that I could, build my own site or subdomain on Minds. That's why I asked the question. It's nice to know that the option is there, and but I would say the answer is it depends, who the person is and what their needs are.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's very contextual. The other benefit of Pro is that we do also take a share of our Pro revenue, and we actually reward Pro pages just for page views that they refer to the site. So that's like an extra monetization feature that you get with Minds Pro on top of the more custom website. But I think that we're sort of also realizing that websites are just a beastly product, and we might have been ripping off more than we could chew in terms of, we're not really trying to compete with WordPress. I think that WordPress does a good job and they're fully open source. And so we're kind of rethinking that aspect. I think the best feature of Pro is just getting paid for the page views that you're generating.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, in closing, our listeners are probably asking, how can they get started with Minds? And I actually have a last question for you. Is Minds an app for phones only, or can it be used with web browsers on your desktop? Or is it for both, one or the other?
It's both, yeah. So we've got minds.com, which is our web app, and minds.com. And it's also on the app stores, both app stores. You can also download the app directly from us at minds.com/mobile. And we definitely believe in both worlds. I think there's plenty of benefit in both. Sometimes I wish we only focused on one because it would be much less to maintain. But at the same time, to stay competitive, I think the reality is that most competitive social networks are both web and mobile. But then again, look at something like Snapchat. I mean, they've stuck only with mobile, and that's been really successful. Same with TikTok. And Instagram even has limited functionality on web. So, it's huge decision when you plan to support a new platform. We started at the web and mobile came after. But I think things are inevitably moving more towards mobile. Everything is just more mobile. The better mobile UX you have, I think generally the more successful your app is going to be. So, I think our mobile app has come a really long way. So I really encourage people to grab it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, the listeners will definitely be checking that out. Before we conclude here, is there anything else that you want to share? Any upcoming things with Minds or anything,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I should also mention, in terms of the crypto stuff, we also support Bitcoin tipping and Ethereum tipping. So it's not all just about the Minds token. And I think, also that the fiat tipping, I think that, we really think of ourselves as like an onboarding mechanism to educate people about crypto without, just sort of assuming that everybody is going to know what Metamask is like off the bat. I think that the world really does need to get educated into this. And so we really try to make it as easy as possible for people. Otherwise, the thing that we probably haven't spoken enough about is kind of our approach to content. And we have a jury system for our moderation. So actually, if our team makes a decision that a community member disagrees with, they can actually appeal it, but the appeal doesn't go to us. When Pomp got banned from YouTube, he had to go talk to his buddy at YouTube to get him reinstated. And that was lucky that he had that ability. We want our community to be able to appeal to the community. So if the community thinks we did something wrong, the community should decide. We need to engineer ourselves out of the positions of power. That's ultimately our goal. So we want to maximize free speech. And we also want the community to kind of have that curating power of the network. So I think that this is one of the huge differentiators. There's so much crazy stuff going on these days with so much getting banned. I mean, if Pomp is getting banned from YouTube, Do you realize how insane that is? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a business show. There's nothing controversial about that. The fact that that's controversial should make everybody shake in their boots, not to mention that all of the quote unquote misinformation that they're banning people for, which later turned out to be true. Ultimately, big tech just doesn't care about the users first. They care about themselves first. And so I just encourage everyone, check it out, vote with your attention on the internet, support, crypto products, not just mines, browsers, all different apps, just experimenting, playing around a little bit. You don't have to jump ship entirely from big tech, but the way that this movement is really going to grow, just checking into the app once in a while, you can't understand how much that impacts the success of these apps that are going to be building the future. So, I know that we all get so busy and it's like, I can't, I don't want to do another social network. I'm already doing Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. But at the end of the day, those apps are all the same. They don't care about you, and they are just not, working in your best interest for your long-term success. So I think that's just the beauty of crypto. It's self-sovereign, and you earn the tokens on mines, and we can't take those away from you. You earned those. That's a beautiful thing. We don't want to have that ability.
Well said. Well said. Bill, we thank you for coming out here and joining us for the episode. And I'm sure all the listeners are going to be checking out Minds. And I know it's a new concept for most of our listeners, a crypto social media network. And we welcome you back on the show in the future, and to all the success with Minds.
Thanks so much, Michael. Hopefully we'll get you on there, and we can follow up and we'll boost the hell out of this episode and your other episodes. I would love to really get our community's eyeballs on all your content. We can talk about that next time.
Absolutely. Michael's getting on it right away. So, all
right. Cheers. Have a good one.
And to all of our listeners, we thank you for listening. If you like today's episode, definitely like and subscribe to the podcast. Show your support.
Thanks for tuning in to New to Crypto Podcast. If you like the episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. You can listen to every episode on all major platforms. Have an interest in being on the show or want advertising? Reach out at newtocrypto.io. Head over to our site, newtocrypto.io, to access the resources mentioned in each episode. Until next time, remember to navigate the crypto landscape with pinpoint accuracy.